So 3 to 5 days, you are going to see the germination taking place. And here it is very important because if you have to be checking so that once germination is even, you remove the cover, the dry grass, the gunny bag you remove. Because if you don't remove in good time, it is going to affect the already germinating plant. So it only assists to be able to germinate. Once germinate, you remove, and then you continue. Now the plant, the young seedling will start now continue growing. And here, you can be able to, in some places, if the sun is too hot, we recommend you use a cover, a shade. You make a shade, and a shade is basically you use pegs that are high enough, and then on top of the peg you can put sticks, and then on top of the sticks you can put grass. And this grass, such that you put grass sparingly, such that light is able to penetrate inside this nursery bed. If you not have a complete shade, and in so doing, you're going to find if it rains, it's not going to, the seedlings are not going to be hit by the droplets from the rain, and also the sun will not be too hot onto these young seedlings. And therefore, once this is done, you continue watering. As I've said, neither too much water nor too little water, just enough water on the nursery bed. And this will be done until a month later when transplanting will be done. They will be ready enough. Like what you are seeing here is seedlings that are already mature, that are already ready for transplanting. They are around 4 weeks since germination. And here sometimes you may find some birds that usually come, and then they distract or they destroy the seedlings. So you can be able to use scare tactics such as iron sheets like this, and then you fix them very well so that they can be blown by the wind, and they make such noise. And once they make such noise, no birds will be able to come near to destroy the young seedlings. We also have a few things that are done in terms of disease and pest prevention. And here it usually starts from the 7 days after they germinate. And some of the diseases that may come up during the foliage. The foliage after 7 days, one of the disease is damping off, and damping off usually attacks the stem. During that stage, the damping off is usually a very destructive disease. It may destroy your seedlings. And therefore, during that stage, it is very important for you to control it. And you control it using a carbendazim or a metalaxyl active ingredient. And the first thing, once you mix that metalaxyl, that active ingredient, you spray on the nursery bed, on the path, in between the lines. You spray in between the lines, and the other you can spray on the leaves. That will be able to control the damping off very well, and that is something that is usually done every week, or depending on need. If you see maybe 1 or 2 that are being attacked, then you can be able to deploy that. The other disease is downy mildew. So downy mildew usually attack the leaves, and therefore once you have the metalaxyl active ingredient, you can also be able to spray on a weekly basis. You can be able to spray on the leaf, just in passing. Remember, the seedling here are very young, they are very soft, they are very delicate, and therefore when you have an knapsack sprayer, you just pass through the leaves sparingly without dwelling much on it, so that at least they can get some of that active ingredient, and they can be able to assist to prevent downy mildew and also the fungal leaf spot. And in terms of the disease, the pests, you may find that some bollworms may come here, and even the DBM, the diamondback moth, may also attack. The insecticide that you can be able to use here, one is lambda-cyhalothrin, and also you can also use novaluron, so that you can be able to control the pests that may come here. And in terms of nutrition, here the plant needs the young seedlings here needs a fertilizer that is has phosphorus, that is rich in phosphorus, and therefore a starter foliar fertilizer is also applied every 7 days when you are applying those nutrients, those chemicals mentioned, and you can even mix them together. You mix the insecticide, maybe lambda cyhalothrin. You mix a metalaxyl, which is a fungicide. You can also mix a starter foliar fertilizer that is rich in phosphorus, and then you can do in between. You can do in between the lines, and also you spray sparingly on the nursery bed, on the seedlings. And therefore, once that is done, your plant will be growing very well without any challenge, and you'll be on to a crop that you're going to establish in the field and grow very well without any challenges. And therefore, once this is done, then the last week of that's the 3rd week after germination, they are going to remain only 1 week so that you can be able to transplant them. And we have now the shade need to be removed, and this shade need to be removed because you are now doing what we call hardening off. Hardening off is preparing these young seedlings for the tough life or the tough environment in the field, and therefore you remove the shade so that the sun can hit them directly, and you can be able to they can be able to experience or to start hardening, experiencing the sun, the scorching sun that they're going to experience in the field. And this is usually done in the last week, and also the watering is cut. If maybe you have been doing watering every day, you can reduce it to every 2 days or every 3 days, so that you can start preparing the plant to the life in the field with limited water. And therefore, that's done by the time the 4th week is over. You find that the young seedlings here have toughened well enough to be taken to the field. And then let me mention something on the night before you transplant, because we usually advise you transplant in the late evening. And why in the late evening? We transplant in the late evening because you are going to give this plant a head start. In the late evening, the sun is not as hot, and immediately after transplanting, you are going to go to the night, and the night is cool. And therefore, this plant will be able to have several hours where it will be able to establish without the scorching sun of the following day. And therefore, the night before you transplant, we usually advise you come with a biostimulant, a seaweed extract biostimulant, and this is usually drenched. Drenching is simply you put the biostimulant in a knapsack sprayer, and then you spray the line. You spray the line until the nursery soil is very wet, and the chemical mixture has, that biostimulant mixture with water has penetrated the soil surface, and the young seedlings are going to pick this up, and it's going to equip them so that when it's going to the field, it has that energy from that biostimulant, and it's going to grow very well in the field. And therefore, that's what usually done, so that when you go to the field, you have very good establishment over there. After that is done, the following day, then these young seedlings will now be uprooted from here and then taken to the field. Since the seedling here have been taken care of very well through watering and giving nutrients, the foliar fertilizer, you're going to find that the weeds are also going to germinate very quick, and therefore it is very important to continue doing weeding. And here weeding is just done by hand, just uprooting the weeds. And it is very important to consider, to be careful not to uproot the young seedlings. Therefore, weeding here is very important so that the weeds can be eliminated. They cannot compete for nutrients and for sunlight and for space with the young seedling, so that the young seedling can continue growing and growing to be strong. And now from here, we are going to go to the field. We see how the transplanting is done. And after transplanting, the plant goes to the starting stage We are going to see what happens over there.